Alright, time to get this show started. Let me get this set up here. Let's see here. I got a couple settings I'm trying to tweak. Hopefully everyone's had a good weekend so far. Alright, hopefully my audio is coming through all right. If it's not, just let me know. Gotta get all set up here again. I tweaked a few things in my OBS and I think I'm just about ready to go here. So, I did a little bit of work this weekend on the game, and I did even more work on building in some bookcases. So we're going to jump back into this Dark Tower Defense game in gdevelop and working on some data points, specifically for the enemies and getting their values displayed properly. So I'm working with a set of core variables such as shield, obviously health, enemy ID, things like that. And so as I build those out and get them working properly, I can start to use more and more things like displaying the rate of their shield regeneration, armor reduction, that kind of thing. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right back into it here. Hopefully everyone's been having a good weekend so far. Where I left off, let me pull up a preview. Camera's moving around a lot. Too much for comfort here. Calm down, camera. I got my frames up a little bit. They're bouncing around somewhere between 45 to 60, which is not great, but previously they were more like 30 to 45. So I found a few events that were being called too many times, and I think that was the problem. For example, they were being called regardless of the number of enemies on the scene, whether or not there were any. Now they're being called only if they need to be called. So I got the shield working mostly properly now. So anytime there is a shield, an enemy that shields the other enemies, anytime there's one of those at least on the scene, all enemies on the scene will receive shield generation. And it's mostly working except for this specific type of enemy over here, these medium-sized enemies. Everything else is pretty much working. So in the top right here, we've got the shielder, and we know that they're shielders because their icon right now is literally a kite shield, just a placeholder to be funny. And the blue number on these guys indicates how much shield that they have, and the bubble indicates that they have shield at all. And that number is going up. So I've added this parchment to show the values, and the first thing I'm going to do in a second here is this parchment doesn't update in real time. It updates every time it's created. So I need to update it to where it is continually updating every half second or so. So I'm going to do that first. Going to do that first after I finish fidgeting with this OBS setting over here. All right. Let's go over to the events. And the first thing I need to look at is so the enemy the text that displays the enemy shield is currently updating properly for most of them, and if not for all of them. So the way that is created, I create enemy health text when they're initially created, when the enemies are instantiated. And then the enemy health text, I had some events here. I disabled those and I consolidated all of that into a single line down here because I'm slowly optimizing as I go. So that is now here. So if the number of enemies on the scene is more than 0, then for each one, take into account its health text and similarly its shield text, and then change those texts to the appropriate values. So that's happening every act, as long as they exist. So that's all I need to do for the enemy UI. So I need to figure out why I have it not updating. Text enemy okay, so right here I have, actually it's just right down below, isn't it? So repeat for each instance of the enemy. Then, if the number of UI living on the scene is more than 0, then in that case, take into account all enemies linked to the UI, and take into account all enemy health text linked to the UI. But it doesn't like that, so let me try logging a message to the console here. Console log message, I'll just say blah because we're cool like that. Let me add this to the group test, and let me run this and see if it triggers true at all. we're going to know pretty quickly. So I'm going to pause that. Then I'm going to look at the console here. Shield radius should be drawn. Refresh. And let me look at something. So it's definitely not triggering. Let me go back to this thing here. Let's try moving it to here. Let's just see how far we get. Okay, we're getting some. All right, so that's good. We're making it to this level. We're not making it to this level. So, and yes, logging blah to the console is official debugging procedures. That is programming 101. So why is it not taking into account the text that is linked to the UI? Take into account all backers linked to the UI. I guess these just don't go well together. What if we do this? I'm guessing it's also not going to work. But let's test it and find out. Let it load in. All right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is not working. So again, does not like this event right here. But if there is only one of these text objects on the scene at a time, maybe it's not problematic if I just have it update without specifying which one. Let's see here. If I... Let's just try this. Let's give it a test. What I'm doing is I'm gonna try without specifying which text object to update, and hoping that since there's only one on the scene, it updates correctly anyway. So, for example, that shows that it has 2 health. This guy should have 20. But what if I put a flamethrower here? Let's see if the 20 continues to update. It does not. Yeah, it's still not updating, so that's annoying. So if I go back down, this is where I create the UI, the parchment. And we create the parchment, create the text objects that go on it. I stick the text objects to the parchment. Maybe instead of linking those to the parchment, I should link those to the enemy. Link enemy UI and enemy backers. Instead of doing just that, maybe I just straight up need to link the text objects to the enemy. Let me try that. So I'm gonna copy that out a few times, and I'm going to link text enemy, text enemy ID, text enemy health, and then text enemy shield, and text enemy armor. So maybe this will make it easier to call. Hoping it'll make it easier to call. So let's look. All right, so now it's going to be if the number of UI in the scene is greater than 0, take into account I guess let's say each text object, let's try the health, linked to the enemy. And then change the text accordingly. And we will disable this thing down here. Let's give this a shot. Hopefully this is updating for at least the health part of it. So call them in. I'll need to put a flame over here. Let's just see if we can find a value that starts to change. So far, it's not. Yeah, it's a tricky little bug here. Sometimes you try things that you think will work and they just don't. That's how it goes. All right. Maybe this doesn't even need to be under for each enemy. Maybe that's the problem here. Let me try cutting this out and just move it, I guess, further down. Maybe right below where I create this whole thing. Right about here. Let's just remove the parent event, or rather condition. Let me see what this is under. So that is still a child there. So even that isn't good enough. This needs to come further out. Like down here. So let's add a comment here. This is UI, enemy UI update. You can maybe edit this color, make it more brownish. And this is where the events will take place. So if the number of enemy UI living on the scene is greater than 0, take into account all text object linked to the enemy backers, and then change the text Let's see if this works. It is not working. Still not working. Okay. It's trying to make me think tonight. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Not sure how I feel about thinking. So if the number of enemy UI on the scene is greater than 0, this is, of course, the parent condition. Because if we don't have the UI, there's no point in trying to update it. Take into account the text object linked to enemy backers. We could also pair this up with if the number of enemies on the scene is greater than 0. Not sure how much that matters here. Take into account the text object linked to the enemy. And change the text. Oh, I see one problem here. I'm changing a different text object, so I guess thinking does come in handy. Let's try this. Let's try this. I'm going to stick a flamethrower out here, and if we get... let's see, right here. We want this number to change. So as it starts to take damage, that health number should go down. Although it still looks like it's not. But I think I identified part of the problem here. So, oh, let me double check. Let me double check if I was getting this message. I was logging to the console. Okay, that is logging to the console. So we're making it this far. Text enemy health. Change that to... For one thing, it should say something like health plus all that other junk. So that needs to happen. I'm going to delete this. Don't need that. And so close and yet so far. What is going on here? I think it's going to come down to the order of operations here in terms of which things are linked to what. So like this guy is taking damage, but it's not updating the parchment here. It's updating the variable object on down there on the sprite, but let me see, is there anywhere else I'm updating the enemy UI? Right there, create it. I don't think so. I don't think there's anywhere else I'm calling it. Enemy UI. Go down. Text enemy health. That is the thing that was created here. So text enemy health. So I want to make sure I'm updating the correct text object here. Which I am. But it's like it's not getting the data that it needs. Like, for example, what if I did something goofy and I tell it to update the text to blah? Will it do that? It will not. Oh, that one did. Why is that one not doing it? What in the world? That one's behaving because there's the blah right there. What in the world? Okay, so... We've got... The shielder guys don't cooperate, but the other ones seem to. That's interesting. So let me put this back to what it was. Disable. And then let's check the health value of anything besides those shielder guys. Because I was targeting them because they had the most health, but let's try something different. So let's go with this guy here. He's got 2 health. Let's see if this number changes. It did not. So it's possible it died so fast we didn't... Oh, there it goes. It's updating. Weirdly. Getting some kind of updates. It's also launching meteors off to the 0, coordinate because it doesn't know where to go. These numbers are being really goofy tonight. Maybe I should try swapping this right here. We've been getting some nice summer showers here today. It's been nice. Enjoying the cool weather, a little bit of thunder. All right, let's do this, and then let me do one other thing up here. Let me change how much health these guys have. Benjamin, how you doing this evening? Having a good weekend so far? And I'm going to add more starting health so that we can actually count as it's decreasing. So let me start it off at like 45 for the medium enemy guy here. And let's see how this looks. So we're going to call in a wave. And those guys did not start with the health I told them to start with, so that's not ideal. I told it to start with 45. Why did that change? I'm going to move a couple objects around here in the events and so change the health. Yeah, let's try that. This should not be only 2. Is it really only 2? I'm going to look over here on the debugger, on the inspector, and see how much health they actually have, if it'll tell me. Not even sure it's going to tell me. Well, well, well. That is so weird. Oh, I think I know why, maybe. I think I know why. I think I just did something goofy. Let me look down here. I said change something. Text enemy ID. Enemy ID 2. Not sure what that's for. Let me just try killing it. If it dies instantly, then it's definitely 2. If it does not die instantly, then it means it really does have 45 health points and it's just not displaying correctly. Right here. Okay, so it does in fact only have 2, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And let me also change which enemies are spawning. I'm just going to start with debugging, troubleshooting using that particular enemy. Reduce the number of variables here. Change the health to 45. And here I told it to start with 2. So if I... Oh, this must be why. I said the maximum health points could only be 2. So... Why did I do that? That's dumb. Okay. This should do the trick. I say it should, and yet... And yet... Wow, it is stubborn. Something is overriding this number. Like, this should be... this should be 45, up to 45 health points. I could really just set 0, no maximum health. And then here I'm setting 37 points. There's no health regen. Because right now I'm actually trying to address 2 bugs. One of them I didn't know I had. Which is, how the heck do I even increase its health? So weird. Let me go down here. What kind of variables do I have going on? Okay, nothing in the globals. Anything in the scene variables? Anything for health? Nothing for health. In that case, I wouldn't call it HP, would I? No. So nothing there. I guess I'm going to have to look through this line by line. Really figure out what is going on here. Let's see. It's going to select the enemy in range 2 to 2, which is this one here, which should spawn the medium type of enemy. Create the object, create the particles, create some text objects, change the opacity, do some sticking, some linking, change current shield points to 0, change maximum health. Oh, this must be it right here. It's changing the maximum health right here. So let me set that to, I think if I set that to 0, there will be no maximum health. Let's see if that's how that works. Because if they spawn with 0, they're just going to spawn dead. There we go. So we took away the maximum health. That was blocking it. And finally, our parchment is updating the number. And they're dying like they should. So that's a problem solved. Minor success right there, people. Minor victory. I'm going to take it. I will take the small wins. What's next? Nuke the scene. I gotta figure out if I want to keep that or not. Not entirely sure. Feel like it could be a super ability that you can upgrade over time, add more and more of them to cause more damage to the whole scene. Not so sure. Then we're gonna have like a full moon effect or something. It's gonna drive the enemies insane. Have some earth effects. What else? We have the holy tower. It's currently doing like a beam. It's like a burst beam, but I'm probably gonna change it back to steady. Okay, so that's one problem solved. Now I just need to do the same exact thing for the other data that's on that parchment, which should be simple now that I got it working. So let me Control C, Control V, and Control V. The ID should never change. I don't think I need to update that. So we will do this. We got the health. Now we need to make sure that the shield updates. We don't need this blah message anymore. And set the shield to the shield points, of course. And then update the armor. Nope, don't need that. Hopefully everyone's been having a good weekend so far. It's been pretty productive for me. Did some construction around the house, worked on building in some bookshelves. I've been meaning to do that project since about New Year's, so doing pretty well, I'd say. Year's not out. Doing pretty well. Just kidding. I procrastinate so much. Okay. Looking for armor, which is actually going to be... It's not going to be called armor. It's actually called... percent damage reduction. Okay. Let's see if these numbers update at all. So I'm going to call in a wave of enemies and see if their shield number, their health number, really only those should update. I don't think that the armor really updates. I think it's more of a fixed value, but yeah, let's test it out. I'll set these to flamethrower so we get a nice steady damage source. Alright, we already know that this guy is going to... Oh, oops. There's one thing I need to change. This needs to say shield, and this needs to say armor. And really, I'm not even sure if it should say armor. It might need to say damage reduction, but I'll just say armor for now. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to confuse people if they see 3 different occurrences of health. In order to test the shielding, I need to call in other enemy types. So let me open this back up. So we'll call in range, I think 2 to 5. We'll work with those guys for now. And specifically, if we can get some shielding going on here, which now we do. We can see the shield is updating and the health is updating. So that is very good. Been having so much trouble with that up until now. All right. That is pretty good. Alright, not bad. There is one other thing. It looked like these guys have 1 armor. And I don't remember assigning them any armor. So let me look into that real quick. Yeah, armor. Percent damage reduction from armor 0.5. Did I do that on the other ones? What's up, some guy? How you doing this evening? Have a good weekend so far? Some guy. Okay, I guess it's a half point of damage reduction that I added to this particular enemy. Set that to 0. I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Just working on this Dark Tower Defense game. Trying to fix some bugs tonight. Alright, now I think also the Flamethrower Tower Meteors. Do I play Fortnite? So I play Fortnite some, but not very often. What is my handle on there? It's Suave Essence. Here, I'll type it in chat. I think this is it. Shouldn't be any numbers. I'll be on there sometimes. My son plays more often than I do. Yeah, feel free to add me though. Alright, so my Flamethrower Tower, it's going to launch meteors up to the coordinate 0, 0, which is the top left of the screen. For any enemy that isn't this type right here. And that's also drawing a circle up there for some reason. I don't want that. Okay. So now we need to add a couple of points. On this particular guy, if I go to the points, I have this, I called it rain point. I guess I should call it like, I don't know, front point, something like that. And I have that located, what is that? 55 pixels out in front. Apply. Hey, appreciate the sub. I'll take all the support I can get. Glad to have you hanging out. And I do these streams at least once a week on Thursdays, and then if I find any spare time, I'll hop on and stream my game development. So glad to have you along. How's your Fortnite been going? Hopefully better than my Fortnite. It's been going good. Do you like the latest updates they've made to the game? Alright, I'm going to add a point to each of these so that they can be hit with a meteor. This is going to be called front point. I'll put that at 80-25. Close. Got 18 victories. Gotcha. So it's too overpowered. So it's like basically you either kill them instantly or they kill you kind of instantly. Is that kind of how it's going? That's been my perception of it so far. And congrats on the 18, by the way. Let me see. I think in order to do this, I actually need to if I edit this in the pixel editor, I changed this to a 125 by 50. So it needs to be sufficiently wide. Let's see if I can do this for each of these. The red is never seen in the game. This is just for me to work with. It's going to be completely transparent. Yeah, that flight kit. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what's going on. Like, it's definitely meta right now, for sure. All right, I'm going to change the scale here. Let me resize. Do not resize the content. We just want the width, and I'm going to set that to 125. Resize. Save. And then edit the points. Add point 80-25. Boom. And I'll rename it front point. That way that meteor will hit. It should target out in front of it, and by the time it hits, they will hopefully converge, and it'll look more like it's impacting on the enemy. And this thing needs to be at 25-25. If I can type it out. What is it doing? 25. And close that one out and apply. And now I just need to do the exact same thing with these other guys. I appreciate the confidence. You haven't seen me play. I'm decent on Fortnite, but I don't play that often anymore. I played a lot more a couple years back. Do you, by chance, stream any of your gameplay? Like, I'm okay. I get first every now and then, but I don't play that often. And my 10-year-old definitely, he's definitely surpassing me. I taught him everything I know, and now he knows more. All right, width, I'm going to set this to 125. And resize, save, edit points, add point. Need to modify the center point to 25 again. Why does it not let me update this? And this one here needs to be 80, 25. And rename that to front point. Close and apply. You're goated, man. No worries. I mean, just enjoy what you're doing. Not everybody needs to stream. It's all good. I mean, that's probably why you're winning, is because you're actually focusing on the game. So keep doing what you're doing. That means you play for yourself. What kind of skins do you prefer to use? All right, resizing this one. Let's go with. So this isn't 25 anymore. This is 50. So I want it to be at least 130. I guess I can do that for now. That should be fine. I want the width to be 130, so that I can add 80 pixels for that last point. So resize, save, and go to the points here. Add a point, front point. So this is going to sound kind of repetitive as I get through this. I just need to get these in for each enemy, and then I'll be able to use it for a lot of different attacks. Okay, got that one. Mostly the new Battle Pass skins. Nice. Yeah, with Dr. Doom and such. Yeah, go get your dinner. Talk to you later, man. Appreciate you hopping on. All right, next. This is the small enemy. Edit this with Piskel. Appreciate the hearts. Resize. The width, this is 50-50, so again, I'll go with 130. Resize. Save. And edit the points. Add point. Call it front point. 80, 25, not 285. Move that center point back over. I want it to not be in the center of the block, but rather in the center of where we'll see the enemy. Oops. I just moved my front point. 80, 25, and then manually move that center point over. And for some reason, it doesn't let me update that until I drag it. or select it or something. Yeah, so I drag it and then it lets me update it. 25, 25. Close and apply. All right, one to go. One to go. Invigorating, I know. So edit this one. Go to... Just started like a weird bird outside. We have a couple of chickens, so I'm making sure they're not dying. Okay, we're going to go with 130 for the width, resize, save, edit points, add point, rename this. We're going to go with 80, 25. Grab the center one, move that over. And 25, not 255. Close and apply. Boom. Now, whenever the flame tower launches its little meteor thing, it was defaulting to the coordinate 0, 0 on the top left. Now it should appropriately target all enemy types that it feels like shooting at. So let's test that. Let's see where these guys shoot their meteors. Every 9 seconds or so, it's going to spawn up from the center and shoot over. Okay, we had a miss right there. Okay, so let's figure out why. I think could have something to do with the naming convention. So let me go into the events here. And let me see what this update on my phone was. Thunderstorms are likely to continue. Good. We need the rain. Hopefully everyone's had a good weekend so far. Get ready for the work week or the school week to come, right? I'm going to go down to... I think it's Meteor. Okay, meteor splash zone. What I really want is where it... All right, right here. This is what we want. So it's going to first at tween. It's going to use the tween. A tween is just a change in value. So it's going to move the position from the center of the tower upward. And then once it goes upward, it's going to move out toward an enemy using a particular ease in quad tween. And it's going toward... Oh, here is the problem. I have it targeting a very specific enemy. I need it to target the group of enemies. Enemy, which is called backers. So that should solve the problem here. Enemy backers. And really the reason for that is I just was kind of lazy and didn't want to... do all those points that I just added in because it was kind of tedious, but I did it. I knocked it out. I think that's it. So let's run another test. Let's see if we can launch a meteor at the enemies here. And what I'm watching is for the meteor to come up here every 9 seconds from each tower, and boom. It worked. I would say we're cooking with grease now, but I was told that that's not correct. Cooking with fire or something. Alright, so it's not doing damage. I told it not to do the damage. But I certainly could re-invoke the damage. Alright, I'm liking this quite a lot more. I do need to figure out why it's drawing a circle up here. That is the... pretty sure that's the same circle that's being drawn out by the enemies that shield. And it's the radius. It's just a visual indicator. And I don't know why it's drawing it at 0, 0 in addition to the individual enemies. So I guess I will make that my next task. Let me save my progress. Could lose power here. Alright, let me think. Just to verify that that is in fact what is being drawn up there, let me search for... it is called... Shielder radius, and it's only occurring right here. And I told it, draw the circle with a radius of 200 at the center of that enemy. So enemy shielder center X and center Y. And it is successfully doing that. So I'm really confused as to why it's drawing it also at 0, 0. So if I disable that, let's see if we're still getting anything drawn in the upper left corner. Don't even care about the tower. Let's just see if we get... Alright, so they're not drawing, and we're also not getting it up there. So that does seem to be the event that's causing it. And I have no idea why. But I have an idea, and I'm going to try using a Boolean variable on the enemy. I think. Let me think. Because I recently had a sprite, this thing right here, and I was using that instead. But it's not very dynamic. It's hard to... I could scale it, but it wouldn't be a true circle. It'd be more of a square anyway. So... But for the drawing events, I'm pretty sure it needs to draw every single frame. I'm going to delete this message. We don't need to send that to the console. It is so weird that it's drawing it at 0, 0. Let me try moving this out from the parent event. Sometimes that's the issue. Still don't really understand the logic there. So just all by itself, just if the number of, if we have the enemy shielders then do the thing, draw the circle. Let's see if that does the trick. Wait for one to spawn. Okay, it spawned and we have a shield circle right here, but we don't have one up left, which is good. But... oh, I know what I need to do. Alright, so... right here, I'm going to add a for each object, and this is going to be... for the enemy that does the shielding. So if we have shielders, then for each one, draw the circle and do whatever else I want to do, like add shield regen. So let's test that. Give it the old test. All right, so far so good. There is one problem I'm seeing here though. We fixed that one. I'm finding a new problem. This guy is showing 0 shield, but he should be increasing shield points by 1 per second, up to at least 10 or so. Let me see if he has if there's a reason he's not upgrading his shield, like a maximum value or something. So armor, health, shield, maximum shield points use 0 for no maximum. Duration of shield in seconds. Okay, 0521. Is that what everyone else is? Everyone else has 10,000. Or something. Not that guy. What about the large one? Yeah, 10,000. Let me try that. Just for now, just to troubleshoot it. And give it the old test. All right, let's call in the troops. Once we get a shielder, I expect these guys to go up. That little blue number. Alright, now. And success. They have their little bubbles. And if I click on them, the parchment is showing the correct values. We're on a roll tonight, people. We're on a roll. These have been bugs that have been bugging me for a long time now. And I'm happy to finally get them resolved because it clears the way for additional features. And some of these I need to maybe modify 0. So I had like 10, 0, 0, 0. And so I'll just work with that for now and I'll change them all later if I need to. So, all right, solid stuff. How long has it been? We're going on about an hour 20. There's one other thing I want to do. I'm not sure how to do it. Let me pull up a new window. And when I open my debugger, let me start up a new instance here. Anytime I start a new game, there's some delay that I want to fix a bit. And so what it's saying down here in the console is it's unable to find some particular resources. And the reason it's unable to find them is because I deleted them, and then I went through and I told it not to call them, but it's still looking for them, and I don't know why. So I'm going to see if I can figure out why, so it can stop wasting its own time looking for them. So we're going to troubleshoot this together. All right, so there's a lot of articles on how to correct the loading of the resources. In this case, it's looking for things I don't need. So I don't even know how to begin searching my question here. But, you know, a little bit tedious, but this is a big part of game development, is trying to fix problems and solve the problems. If it was all just the fun stuff, it would be really quick. So this is saying, I mean, they're talking about a very similar but different message, talking about a texture for a resource, whereas mine is for the resource itself. Let me try. Again, I'm just really unsure of this message. Unable to find the resource for a handful of these sprites. I deleted the sprites. I don't need them. And then I went in and removed the actual resource from here. So for example, there's one called Wraith, right? There's no occurrence whatsoever of Wraith. And I bet if I delete some of these other things, it's going to start throwing an error for those as well. I don't want it to look for these at all. So it's very strange. If I look at my objects over here there's no wraith. Yeah. All right. I'm really not sure about that one at all. I'm gonna have to do a deep dive on why it's looking for resources that it doesn't need at all. It's not killing me too bad. FPS is still hanging around the 60 range. That's fine for now. In fact, I think it's even better when I play this on the web browser and on mobile, which this game will be on mobile as well. So that is fine. I'll look into it later. What else can I do here? We have several options. And I just forgot what I was going to do. Specifically, I don't know. Let me just pop back into the game here and see what else needs to be done. Still need to work on a blood tower. I have nothing for that one whatsoever. So we've got... Tell you what, let me take out the cost of building a tower. So I'm going to change the cost of building a tower so that I can build a lot of them without running out of light, my resource. Light is both the currency and it's your health. And it's also, of course, your actual ability to see the scene because it's light. All right. Create tower base. Oh, right here. This is what I need to disable. It's called Tier 1 cost. All right. Run this. Now I can throw up several towers without running out of money and see where we stand. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So as you can see, I've got 8 tower types that I can select from at the moment. So the first one is Arcane, then Blood, and this one I haven't done anything for. I think it just shoots bullets. So that's going to be one of my next projects. I've got my Flame Tower, Flamethrower, Meteor. I've got a Holy Tower, which does a Holy Beam, Darkness Piercing, an Earth Tower, which is having some problems at the moment. Those spikes should be facing upward. And then the Water Tower, the Ice Tower, and the Moon Tower, which has a black hole in the middle, and it has orbiting moons, which inflict physical damage on the enemies. So lots of stuff going on here. The Holy Tower is inflicting a beam as well as a Fist of the Heavens Diablo 2 style lightning plus holy bolts. The Earth Tower is giving us healing. It's giving us this light generation here. The Water Tower is shooting water. The arcane missiles track the enemies and they don't miss. The Blood Tower here is just shooting regular bullets. That's not final at all. The Ice Tower does shoot icicles, which freeze the enemies temporarily. And the Moon Tower is bugging out because those moons have stopped orbiting. But it's still using the black hole to suck in an enemy at a time and inflict damage over time. And then it spits them back out at the start of the trail. So, and the FPS is dropping as well. So I think I could work on these spike growths. That should not be like that. And I thought I had fixed those. I don't know why they're coming in like that again. Sometimes you fix a problem and it just resurfaces. So let me go to towers, tower objects. Spike. Let me try that. That should do the trick. There we go. That was weird. Don't know what's up with that. All right. So what else? I think the Moon Tower, that had a problem, didn't it? Why did those moons stop? Let's call in some enemies and find out. Okay. Well, that's interesting. When the tower froze, they stopped. So maybe it wasn't a bug. Maybe the tower was frozen. Although I'm skeptical, but let's find out again. So when this radius hits the tower, it's going to freeze right here. The moons stop. Maybe that was the issue. It wasn't really an issue at all. It was working as intended, and I forgot about it. So that's good. Alright, I'm going to hit save to save my work. And I'm going to be right back. And I am back. About to wrap it up here for the night. I think I'm at a pretty good stopping point. So, in summary, what I've accomplished tonight so far was fixing the enemy UI parchment pop-up thing. So, that involved multiple steps, but we've knocked out the steps. So, anytime there's an enemy here, they're taking damage, the shield updates, the health updates, etc., etc. The shielding is working properly, and yeah, no complaints there whatsoever. Then we fixed the earth tower spike growth. They were coming in horizontally. That was not ideal. And the the shielder enemies were drawing a circle at the coordinate 0, 0, and we fixed that problem as well. So pretty good progress tonight. It's all these little things that really add up. It's a long laundry list of things every developer has for their game. So the more we knock those out, the happier we are. That way we can focus on the actual fun things like the game design. And so with that being said, I really need to build out my blood tower, which is the placeholder object right here. My red tower. I have nothing for it whatsoever besides placeholder junk. So that's on my very near to-do list. So that being said, I'm going to call it wraps for the evening. And if you followed along, I appreciate it so much. Appreciate the support. And until next time, I'll catch you later. And I hope you have fewer bugs than I do. Thanks.